Hey, it's Clay Allison from Wicked Edge, and I've got a really nice knife here. It's a Spyderco Para 3, and it was sent to us by Jordan from Syracuse, Utah, who's interested in picking up one of our Wicked Edge systems, and asked us to just sharpen up this knife through a specific set of abrasives to get it to what he said was insanely sharp. So we're going to do that today, and before we get started, I wanted to just take a look at how sharp it is from the factory, because this looks like it's still the factory edge to me, so it'll be a good before and after. We'll just test out how sharp it is on some newsprint. This is actually some pages from our Uline catalog, which is a lot like phone book paper, and if your knife's not very sharp, it'll struggle to get through this, where if it's insanely sharp, it'll go through it really easily. So it's got a decent edge on it. I can feel here on my thumb that, it's gripping most places, so it's a decent edge from the factory, but let's just see how it does on the paper here. Alright, so, and that's just what I was feeling, is it really bites into my thumbnail in this section of the blade through here, but once I get down into the belly of the blade towards the tip, it wants to skate on my thumbnail. And I'm seeing the same thing with the cut through the paper here. As soon as I get to that belly, it just fails there, and it doesn't want to cut very easily. And then when it does, it's pretty jagged. I can see a lot of loose fibers here where it's just kind of tearing as much as it's cutting. So I'm very confident that we'll be able to put this knife in the sharpener and get it to that insanely sharp level for him, and then we'll kind of redo this test when we're done with that. Hey guys, it's Clay from Wicked Edge, and I've got Jordan's Spyderco Para 3 chucked up in a Wicked Edge 130, and I'm going to talk just a tiny bit about the knife and the settings I've chosen for it. So it's a wonderful blade. It's a CPM S30V. It's a really nice steel to work with. It's easy to sharpen, but it takes and holds a really good edge. And this particular blade is coated, and it actually has a nice little laser inscription on it as well. And so I've wrapped the blade, and you can probably see it here, with a little bit of paper towel. And the paper towel is just to protect that coating from the jaws. I don't want any scratching to happen. And the way I've mounted it in the sharpener is to use the depth key in the top holes of the vise, and then center the Spidey hole right in between the two prongs of the depth key. It just rests in there really nice and easily and kind of cradles the knife, and that's a very repeatable, easy to remember setting for me. Okay, now let's talk about the angle choice here that I made. When I first mounted the knife up, I colored in the bevel with a marker, and I just used a very fine stone to try and figure out how it was ground from the factory. And what I found out was that it was 17 degrees on one side and then 18 on the other. And so for the sake of simplicity, I decided to reprofile the knife so that it's 17 degrees on each side. And that way when Jordan goes to sharpen it on his own Wicked Edge, it's going to be very easy to remember. He doesn't have to have a logbook to tell him one side's different from the other and which one that is. So now it's reprofiled at the 17 degrees on both sides. Okay, and for the grit selection on this blade, I started with the 600 grit because I needed something a little bit coarse to help me reprofile it, although it didn't take very long. With just a change of 1 degree, it's not a long, arduous process to reprofile. And so I started with the 600 grit, I went to the 800, 1000, 1500, 2200, and 3000 grit, all in diamonds. And then I used some lapping film and then some leather strops, finishing finally with the kangaroo strops and a .25 diamond spray and a 1.125 CBN spray to finish it off completely. So now that we've got it sharpened up and we've got a wonderful looking bevel, and it feels to the touch here to be extremely sharp, or as Jordan put it, insanely sharp, let's just see how it does on this Uline paper, kind of a before and after from what we did earlier. Yeah, so that's just beautiful. You can probably just hear it in the sound. There's almost no resistance from the paper, and the cuts are extremely clean. There's no fraying or fibers hanging out of the edges here, so that's just beautiful. So that's a great improvement from the factory edge, and it looks wonderful.